you can have all of this money, right? But if you're not physically fit, then what is it worth? You're not able to spend time with your kids and run around with your kids on the beach that you just took a vacation on. What is it worth?
All right, this is Tony Buchos, the host of the Reborn podcast. Today I have Donovan Green here with me. Donovan, thank you for being
Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate the time.
here. I'm looking forward to this chat. We're gonna cover business, fitness, relationships, the whole three. And I know you're a very religious guy yourself, and we're gonna dive into that a little bit as well. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise, man. Thanks
Yeah, of
for having me.
course, of course. I'm looking forward to it. So, the first thing I wanted to start it with is just your journey to entrepreneurship. I know you were pretty successful in real estate, done some wholesaling, done some investing, done some e-com, some different businesses, different partners. And I remember you actually specifically telling me you had issues with being open to partnerships. And now it seems like most of, if not all you do is partnerships. But to success, can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so one thing I've learned in my short stint of being a business owner, a entrepreneur, is that you don't do a lot of things, or you don't find a lot of success doing things on your own. And when I learned that, I started to make more connections. I started to close more deals. I started to make more money. I started to find myself around other people that are also making more money. So that it was kind of a gut check in a way, because before I realized that fact, I wasn't going um I wasn't going as far as I would have liked to go, because I wanted to go by myself. And I thought
Yeah.
going by myself would have been the fastest way to get there. When in reality, it's it's really the slowest way to get there is, by yourself. If you think of it in the terms of NASCAR, like the driver can't get out and change his own tire, right? He has to have a crew. He has to have spotters. He has to have all these individuals that help him to be able to navigate on race day. So I think that's really what I learned, is having a team, having a crew, and not to say that I'm the driver. Sometimes I'm the driver, and sometimes I'm the one putting
Mhm.
gas in the tank.
That's
So
important. That's an important one. Yeah.
absolutely, just knowing my position. I think being a servant in that way has helped me to, again, just gain the connections that I've had, and it's helped me see the success that I've been able to see, not only in real estate but just in life in general.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the old adage, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, you go together. And really, for me, I've been thinking about that saying too myself, and I'm like, I don't even understand. If you want to go fast, I don't understand how you're going to go faster alone, rather than the NASCAR example that you brought up, having these pit stops. If you're just a solo driver, you're not gonna you're gonna have to get out, fix the car yourself, do all that kind of stuff. It's like you're not gonna go faster alone, and you're definitely not gonna go as far alone. So there's really no point in going alone unless you really just want to make 100 grand a year, or not truly reach your maximum potential. I mean, you look at these guys, um, Duck and all these other massive business moguls. They own, I think Zuck owns like 10% of Facebook or something. Bezos owns like 12% of Amazon. Like they own very small or relatively small portions of their company. They're the face of it, and it's a multi-trillion, billion-dollar company, something like that. I don't even know that. Like,
Yeah, I think Facebook might be in the trillions now. I know Apple definitely is. Amazon should be in the trillions
yeah,
now. But yeah, I mean the point still stands, right? Like, you know, you don't, again, you just don't build by yourself. Like, even in the terms of real estate, like the architect isn't the bricklayer. The realtor isn't the electrician. Like you need an entire team in order to get the job done from start to finish in
yeah,
the best way possible. Um, and just like as the saying goes, going fast is great, but you know how far are you going to be able to go? Like the faster you go, the faster you run out of gas as well. And if you don't, again, just doing all those things by yourself, it's just very challenging and difficult.
Yeah.
I found many times in my journey where I became so burnt out because I was doing everything by myself. Like I was wearing all the hats, and sometimes that's necessary. But more times than not, those are the that's pride, right? That's just selfishness. Wanting to be the big shot, but not realizing what goes into being a big shot. The late nights, the early mornings, the phone calls, the viewings, the just all of these things for one person can become a lot. And that's when I realized, man, I'm not gonna do it. It's just not, it's not feasible. It's not sustainable. It's not gonna work.
100%. And, I mean, I think we both have experience in the wholesale real estate space. And, you think about that, especially if you want to scale, even if you're doing deals only on your own, you're not JVing or anything like that, you still have to have a lender, you still have to have a buyer, you still have to have a seller, you still have to have a title company, all these different parts of the company to just make it function. And you can do that alone. You can not really have a relationship with these people and just a one-off type of business, or just be with them and just have a very, very, very professional relationship and not have any sort of rapport build. And then one, you're not going to scale as much, and two, you're going to be spending more money because they don't really know you. They don't like you. They like
Yep,
you. A lot of people are willing to do business more with you because they they like you. They know, they like, and they trust you. That's the big thing, right? So I
absolutely.
think
Yeah.
even if you're working alone, even if you don't want partners and need people, I think I wrote down in my notes the other day, solopreneurship is not real.
That's good.
There's no other way to state it.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I agree.
So, being a very religious guy, I wanted to ask, what's your motivation behind your business? Does it come primarily from religion, or is it, family background, or where do you get your motivation
I think it's a mixture of all of the above. My family isn't, a we're not like, it's not a hard knock life or anything like that. It's not like,
from? Yeah.
I've struggled all my
For
life.
instance.
Yeah, like it hasn't been that. But my family also hasn't been at in the space in which I've been able to take advantage of certain amenities that other individuals my age have been able to take advantage of. I wasn't able to play sports. One of my passions when I was younger was football. And baseball for a short time. I wasn't able to play those sports because one, my mother couldn't afford it, and two, m- my mother not only couldn't afford it with money, she couldn't afford it with time. She couldn't afford to take me to practice. She couldn't afford to, take me to games, or, take me to Dick's or Champs or whatever to get equipment. All of those things. I just never had that opportunity. But when it comes to what I believe, I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and he died on the cross and he rose from the dead. And he lives to this day. I believe he died for my sins, and I believe that in this business, in real estate, I believe real estate is something that I'm called to do on a global scale, in a sense of teaching people not only the information that they need to perhaps buy real estate, develop real estate, be in a real estate space, or be a real estate professional, but provide housing for individuals across the world. Uh, and again, not only that, it's obviously, real estate isn't a not-for-profit business, right? Like you're in it to make money. And my goal is to essentially, make a good amount of money, a large amount of money to be able to share with the world to continue to uh churches, spread the gospel, reach people that haven't been reached in every corner of the world. So that's really my driving force. It's I feel as though my core conviction is that that's my mission. And I'm gonna see that mission through.
100%, man. That's beautiful. Every time I talk with you, it's so powerful. You have such a powerful energy and such a powerful purpose. How you were saying, I didn't know that before. I don't think we talked about that. How your family couldn't afford for you to play sports. I know we had spoken that what that was a passion of yours, and I believe now you coach basketball or something, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I coach basketball now. I never played basketball, but I coach basketball. It's so interesting. But yeah, that's true. I feel like I ended up getting into my sports passion through the coaching space. I didn't even realize that that was something that I actually
Yeah.
was good at. So that's me cool.
Is that do you feel sort of like a kid again when you're coaching? Do you feel like that's making up for lost time that you couldn't play sports?
Yeah, in a way, because even now, I find myself wanting to improve my game in basketball, even though I'm not like there are kids in here that are 6, 7 years old that are playing basketball and that play for AAU, that play for their school or whatever the case may be. And they're already very skilled for their age. Whereas me, I'll be 23 years old next month, and I'm just now starting to, make sure that my form is right on my jumpers. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely starting a lot later, but it does make me feel like a kid again. And I actually had a conversation with a young guy yesterday. I think he's like 17 or so. Very talented basketball player. And I was just asking him some questions just about um, you know, my shot. And I'm because when I shoot, I kind of push off with my thumb. I'm right-handed. And your left hand usually if your dominant hand, your less dominant hand is going to be your guide hand. So I was telling him, I'm like, I push off with my thumb a little bit with my guide hand. He's like, yeah, I do that sometimes too. So now I'm learning from a younger individual. They're younger than me, but they have more knowledge than me in
Yeah.
this space. And they're even teaching me like, hey man, like, you could probably use this move. You should probably work on this. And I'm like, man, that's actually a good point. I should work on that. So it definitely has made me feel like a kid again. Obviously, I um kinda bust the kids' balls a little bit, just because it's if they can't take it from somebody that loves them, they're not gonna be able to take it at the next level. So
Mm.
I just take it upon myself to, rough them up a little bit. And but they know it comes out of love. They know that it's not something that's like, oh, Donovan, he a hater or whatever.
Yeah.
It's actually something that, I want to see them get better. And a lot of times, I've seen them actually improve in the face of, whatever I have to say. So
Yeah.
that means whatever I'm doing is working.
Yeah, and that's good, because obviously if you're coaching young kids, there's no money involved yet. If they're gonna be, develop into a career in the NBA or overseas or whatever, professionally, there's gonna be a lot of money involved, and they're gonna have people um that are, kind of attacking them, and they have to learn how to deal with that pressure. And also, I think that's very humble of you to be able to learn from someone who's younger than you. I think it's you can really relate that back to business because I think nowadays there's so many young entrepreneurs like yourself that have been very successful at such a young age, partially because of social media and this digital age.
Yeah.
I think wealth easier to accumulate nowadays, and so think about a 40-year-old taking a mentorship from a 20-year-old, but that 20-year-old has made 5 million by the time they're 20, and that 40-year-old is working a W-2 40, 50K a year job. And I think just being able to take the back seat, and drop the ego, I think will help you get a lot further in life and develop the skills that you want to develop, which is in your case, basketball skills and other people's business.
Yeah, and I think too, um, there's again, kind of, going back to the spiritual side for just a quick second. Jesus was, I believe, was the best leader um ever to me. Obviously, that's very subjective. But to me, that I consider that to be a fact. And I believe that to be a fact because he led by serving others. And when you lead by putting others' needs before your own, you find more people wanting to follow you, not just because you serve them, but because they know that you are going to give them all that you have without any type of restriction or any type of um bias or anything like that. So you know, I really have to find myself being humble because I'm kind of in this middle ground where there are some spaces where I have to learn. Again with the basketball thing, I have to learn from younger kids, but
Yeah.
in the real estate space, I definitely have to learn from older individuals who have more skin in the game. Um, Actually, I'm marketing a multifamily deal right now in New York for I want to say 7.35 million, and
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of insights that I hadn't got or that I didn't understand before. And if you would have if I would have posted that same deal last year, I would have got so upset. I would have got so defensive at all the feedback that I was getting. I would have got annoyed. Um, these dudes are bashing me. This is actually a good deal. I ran these numbers. My numbers are right. But
Yeah.
again, as I've
It's easy to do that.
it's so easy. It's so easy to do that. But just what I've learned is that I'm gonna learn a lot more. One of my mentors, he told me to listen twice before you speak once because you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. So now my main priority, like, and I heard another quote too that said, speak as if you're right and listen as if you're wrong. So I'm putting out this deal. The numbers look good on the surface, but I'm still listening to the feedback and it's good feedback. So now it's like, okay, well, now I have certain rules of thumb that I can now take to apply to other deals of this size. And then those same individuals are going to look at this deal and say, you know what, Donovan actually listened to what I had to say. I'm going to give him a shot. I'm going to buy this property. I'm going to show this to a buddy of mine that's interested because people, they respect individuals that are teachable and are coachable. That's one thing that I
Yeah.
love about coaching is like I don't want the best player. I don't want I don't mind if I have the best player or not. I need you to be coachable. Can you receive instruction and constructive criticism so I can make you better? If you
Yeah.
can't, then that's just a sign that you need to mature. So that's definitely made me mature and at a very fast rate.
Yeah. So you touched on a lot just now, but going back to religion with Jesus being the best leader, do you ever feel insecure as a leader yourself that you can't measure up, or do you understand that no one can measure up to him because he's literally perfect?
Yeah, no one can measure up. There was times where I did. Um but I was talking to my girlfriend about this the other day and we're made in the
Yeah.
image and the likeness. The image isn't the image is like a duplicate or a replica, right? But it's still not the original, right?
Yeah.
So if I am the image of something, like if I take a picture of you, yeah, that's a picture of Tony, but that's not Tony. Like Tony
Mm.
doesn't live in this picture. There's a picture of Tony, but he doesn't live in the picture. Like you actually have to go and meet Tony, right?
Yeah.
Like for instance, with this podcast, like people can see me, people can see you, but they won't really see me until they,
Right.
so
How you? Right.
exactly. So I just feel like, you know, it's just a striving after, like I think that's what life is about, honestly. It's, whether it be success, whether it be enlightenment, whatever you're after, um, it's not it's not the destination, it's the journey. It's so cliche to say it, but it's the truth. Like it's all in the steps that you take to get there. Like you have to have fun in the moments that you're getting to it, because you're gonna work so hard. You're gonna have all these sleepless nights. You're gonna, you know, work yourself to the grindstone, and then you're gonna get to what you want to get to, and then you're gonna find out that that didn't even satisfy you. So like now the chase and the grind, though it's tiring at times, that's what keeps me going. It's fun to me. Like to wake up every day and know that this is another opportunity to get better. It's another opportunity to network. It's another opportunity to make money. It's another opportunity to, share my faith with people. It's just every day is another opportunity, and a lot of people don't
Yeah.
look at it like that. It's just a monotonous cycle in their lives, and it's sad, but you know that's just the way of the world, unfortunately.
Yeah. And something that I've cut it out a little bit. Hold on. Something I was going to say that I've noticed about you that I have a lot of respect for you about
Give me one.
your role.
One.
Yeah, man. Based off that, what I was going to say is one thing that I've noticed about you and respect a lot about you is that you're very organized. That's probably my life story is not being organized from going to elementary school and having the desk that you open up. I don't know if you guys have those like this,
Yeah,
but
yeah. We used to have
that
those.
type of thing. And this organization has always been an issue for me. And we talked about before how you do one thing, how you do everything, and how you were talking about each day is an opportunity to spread the gospel, to spread your business, to spread your message, and to do good for the world overall. I think when you're organized and you are productive for 16 hours a day, whether it's affecting the world or helping your own well-being by working out or just praying or whatever you're doing in that case, it's not necessarily putting the word out to the world, but just helping your self-development.
Yeah, I agree. Some people think that like, when it comes to, and even apart from, the spiritual aspect of it, right? Like you always represent who you are and what you stand for based on uh, how you are in real life. The way you deal with the long line at McDonald's,
Mm.
the way you interact with the waiter, the way you deal with people that need money, at the gas station. Like you are a representation of how you respond to those things in your life. So for me, people say, what would Jesus do and stuff like that. And it's very true. Um, I stand on principle. And I stand on there are just certain things about myself as not only a believer, but just as a man that I cannot compromise on. And one of those things is being diligent with your time, your money, your attention, and your intention. Being diligent with those things because they are valuable um resources. that you have that just cannot be spent any type of way. So
Yeah.
when it comes to, just the organization piece, I still have a lot of work to do in that space because I understand that, you know, excuse me, like having organization is is just the key to, like, when you think about these multi-billion-dollar businesses, like we were just talking about with Amazon, Meta, Apple,
Yeah.
Tesla, the list goes on. They have organization. So those are the things that I want to implement not only in my business but in my life. So those are things that are very, very, very important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think you can really make true progress. I would even say, arguably, organization is even more important than what we touched on earlier with, not going alone and having partnerships. I think they can even play a role in one another, but I would say uh, organization might be the most important thing in life and in business. And I mean, something I've realized recently, being a new business owner as well, is just the importance of KPIs, which you do have to be very, 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 very organized with, and get tedious, but it's going to help you see where your business is at, where it needs to be, and where your goals are for the business, help you truly progress them. Um, but earlier when we were talking about your purpose and your vision in real estate, you said it was a calling, and you said you want to provide housing, on a nationwide level, and that's definitely big goals. And I think a lot of people that would similar aspirations for a lot of different people. And one of the things you mentioned is you do want to, spread the gospel. And I think we had spoken about you want to build churches as well, correct?
Yes. So I had a dream. Um, there was a dream that I had, it's probably over a year ago now, where there was like I just saw this abandoned church, and then I just heard a voice that said, "This is what I want you to do." And then I
Mm.
woke up,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Whoa!" Like, and I had already like been thinking about it, but that was just confirmation for me. And I want that to be a branch off of my company, in my firm, which is to renovate churches and provide them to smaller congregations so they will have the facilities to go out into the neighborhoods that they serve. Um, that's something that I have a strong desire to do.
Yeah. And it's kind of, a, I don't want to say charity, but you're giving back to the community, and you're giving back to your own community, which is the religious and the Christian community, and doing well for your community. And rather than giving money to a lot of these funds that are arguably not the best places to give money to, and instead you're being more hands-on with it and giving money to those who really need it and will really do good with it, while also pursuing your purpose in the meanwhile. And I think that's very powerful. With all this being said, and with business, I want to go back to that. Um, how you started being a solopreneur in the beginning, and you didn't want to share anything. Developing into now having so many partnerships, and being much more successful now. How has that developed your business? How has your business evolved? And are there any other ways that have been notable for you that have just really changed since you first got into business, that have made a big difference, a big impact in your business?
First and foremost, I want to give a big shout out to to Microsoft and OpenAI for the freaking
Mm,
invention of ChatGPT. First and foremost, that has been an immense help to my to my business, and even saying that is an understatement. But another thing too, and I just can't reiterate this enough, but just having partners that are aligned with the same vision that you're aligned with. Not necessarily in the sense of, you know, the partners that are in my life and that are in my network, they don't everybody doesn't have the vision to renovate churches, right?
Yeah.
But everybody has the same general mind of they want to become not only financially free, but locationally free and and time free, right? They want to create. This is such a buzzword. I don't even like using it, but generational wealth. You know, they want to build wealth for not only who's in their family now, but two or three generations down the line. And they love real estate, or they love serving people. So, you know, with that said, if I meet anybody that aligns with those three things, then you're definitely a partner of mine. Obviously, we're, you know, like those are just the core things that are important to me. But as far as the success that I've seen, it's just the opportunity. You know, I think opportunity and um and networking are worth more than money itself.
Yeah. Because they create money. You can't get difficult again to get money without networking and creating opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I feel, at least now in this 2023, I've been able to um just run into a lot of networking opportunities, run into people who just are doing things in the space that I'm doing them. You know, a good friend of mine, his name is Danny. He's we met at a real estate meetup here in Indianapolis, and you know, he does credit repair. Big shout out to Next Level Advising. But but yeah, we ended up connecting on the business tip, and we ended up becoming great friends. And even in that space, you know, he's helped get my credit to a level where, you know, I'm going to soon be in a position to get my business to be fundable,
Hmm.
which is super dope.
Yeah.
So definitely big shout out to him. But I wouldn't have those opportunities if I'm not networking. So I think that's the success, is getting out there, putting yourself in a becoming an authority in the space. You know, I had a real estate meetup this year in February. Hopefully I can have another one before the year ends. But I had a real estate meetup, um, and you know, for those listening, that, you know, just throwing events, period, or meetups or networking events, or, you know, mix and mingles, whatever you choose to call it, is a great way to get your name out there as an authority in the space. You know, there are some meetups out there or here in Indianapolis, or, you know, wherever you're listening from. You would be surprised at how many people would come out and support your event, just not because they know you, but because they're interested in what you're offering. So I think close to 50 people showed up for that event, and that was my first event. Nobody knows who I was, you know, and granted, you know, I was doing that with a partner of mine, Jamar Wright. Big shout out to Jamar and Durban Real Estate. But but again, it all comes back to the same thing: networking, and the networking creates opportunity. So that's pretty much been my bread and butter this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's been very important for me as well. You know, I typically consider myself to be very outgoing, and I'm typically pretty good at building rapport with people, whether it's networking with other investors and business people, or in religion, or whether it's just cold calling and trying to help a client. You know, I think that's something that's very, very important, is getting to know people and networking. I wanted to talk about generational wealth that you had mentioned. How do you feel about, you know, growing up and then, having children and being wealthy. Let's say you're a multimillionaire, even billionaire here in the future when you have children. Do you want your children to grow up wealthy, or do you want your children to still have sort of not a terrible upcoming, but a upcoming where they're still learning and they're still getting to know how the real world works without being having everything handed to them?
I won't hand anything to my kids, but at the same time, I won't take anything from my kids either. So I think, Shaq talks about, not giving his kids anything, making sure that they get a degree, and, he'll fund the business idea that they have. And, everybody has their different way of parenting. I think
Yeah.
for me, what a show that I like, uh, sometimes I don't like all the contents of it, but I like the show Succession. Because you kind of see you the different your different kids, right? Who's good at what? Who's strong in this area? Who's weak in this area? Um, and they're all in a sense groomed to succeed you. But everybody has their weaknesses, right? So I think, when it comes down to it, I want to groom my children. Um, you know, maybe they don't take over Boulder Rock. Maybe they want to do something else. Um, but I want to groom them, uh, again, not only in the business aspect, because business is just an extension of life. Sports is just an extension of life. All of these things are just an extension of real life. So when I say groom, obviously, I would have focus sessions where, I explain to them, what a cap rate is and what per annum is, and all of these different terms, right? Even terms that I'm still learning. Again, I'll be 23 next month. So, by the time I have kids, I feel as though I'll be very well versed in business, with the trajectory that I'm on. But I want to prepare them to be well-rounded and good people.
Yeah.
And when you create and cultivate well-rounded and good people, and not only that, you are a well-rounded and good person yourself. And good is subjective, right? But I mean in the sense of, you know, being principled and standing on morals and values. If That's what I desire to instill into my kids. And whether you want to go to college, whether you want to freaking be a horse jockey, I don't care what you want to do, but you have to be able to stand on principle, stand on moral, stand on value. Um, and that is going to take you wherever you want to go. And in the event that you need a restart or whatever the case is, I want to be there to help. Um, that's something that, you know, in coming from where I come from, I haven't had that luxury. Some people have, where, they're able to stay at home. They're able to, get themselves together while they figure out what they desire to do. I didn't have that luxury. So, I want to provide. And the thing is, it's not a luxury. It's almost like a prerequisite for your children. But nevertheless, uh, that I desire to make sure that my kids are prepared. Again, they're gonna be prepared financially. Like, these are the years where I'm gonna make sure that, but morally, in the sense of principle, in the sense of, do I even have time to instill these things into my kids? Right? You know, I think at this young age, it's good to really put your pedal to the metal and work hard, because, at 30, 35, man, I want to be spending time with my kids, bro. Like, that's what I want. So, these years for me are just primarily focused on building the biggest thing possible. So, when I reach those levels and, I'm with my children in those formative years, I won't miss anything. And I'll be able to prepare them and, lace their boots, as they would say,
Yeah.
to go out into the world and be, you know. be great humans.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what principles are really important for you to instill into your children?
Um, being and not doing. Um, I think we had this conversation before. I am a human
Yeah,
being. I'm not a human doing. I'm not a human trying. I'm not a human thinking. I'm a human being supposed to be, right? So whatever I'm supposed to be, I need to be that, right? I need to do the things that are going to allow me to be that. Another thing is, again, being diligent, being prepared, making sure that you are always in a mindset to be taught. A lot of kids aren't. I wasn't, right? I'm not expecting my kids to just sit down and freaking learn. But again, those are things that you instill at a young age to say, hey, you might not want to touch that hot eye on the stove. You might not want to do that. I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but you might not want to,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
If you choose to touch it and you find out it's hot, I told you before that you might not want to do it, but now you know that you
yeah,
shouldn't do it. And now you know what? Maybe dad probably knows a little something. Maybe he knows something about life that I don't, right? So those are the things that I want to instill, just being diligent, being period, doing the things to be, being prepared to learn, being prepared to listen, and just striving to always be better, not in the sense of, oh, um, I want to be better than this person or I'm striving to be better than my dad. Like, no, like I want you to be the best version of you. Like, and that's what I want to instill into my
and I think when you're at such a young age too, you don't understand that your parents do know a lot and they have, this 30, 40, 50 years of life experience. You don't understand that. For me, I know I had to learn a lot that my parents told me that I ultimately found to be true. I had to learn it on my own simply because I kind of forced myself to have to learn it on my own. So because of that, I just, learned some lessons the hard way. Um, so, it's definitely very good to be teachable. I know whether it's from sports, whether it's in a hot iron, but yeah, it's difficult at such a young age. But I wanted to move on. Now we've been on business for quite some time now, 30, 40 minutes. I just want to say, like, how do you balance? Because you're a very fit, well-being guy, and you're in touch with religion, you're in touch with fitness, you go to the gym, you play basketball, you have a social life. Like, how do you balance all this with business?
That's such a tough question. I'm still learning how to. I think that's the best answer I can really give. I'm still learning how. Even with the relationship that I'm in, I have so many commitments, right? So I think it's just I want to move more towards having structure. Again, that's very important, being organized, having structure. But I also don't want to get so structured to where I don't feel and listen to certain functions that I know I should or shouldn't be doing, right? And I think in life is so delicate and spontaneous where a lot of things happen that are not according to the plan that we set out. So I think for me, I balance it by allowing room for things to happen in a sense of like, maybe the appointments that I set or just whatever it may be. I just really try to prioritize the most important things, obviously, but I leave room for life, because life will happen, whether you want it to or not. So I think that's a part of the balance is not only do I balance with other people, but I balance with life, I balance with myself. Sometimes I need time alone, right? Sometimes, I need to be around people. Sometimes I need to be at the gym. Sometimes I need to be in this meeting. Sometimes I don't need to take the meeting. It just
Yeah.
depends on what what life is giving me at that moment, what God is giving me at that moment, what I'm giving myself, what my woman is giving me. It all depends. So to answer your question, I really just try to leave a lot of space for kind of things to unravel in the way that they're supposed to.
And that's where, being organized and, as you said, being diligent with your time really, really plays a role because you can do that and just not get anything done because you're not really organized with your time. But if you're organized with your time, you have time throughout a day to let it just naturally flow and productive with your day while also, not being overly stressed. Something I've recently started doing is in between my work time, which is mental energy, I've started using some physical energy, which is just going on a short 10, 15, maybe 20-minute mindful walk. Sometimes I just listen to the birds and the nature around, but sometimes I'll listen to binaural beats, which also can just help relieve your mind and de-stress a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. It's whatever is, you know, one thing that I love about this life thing is that there's so many different ways to do it. And um whatever, whatever's clever, bro. Like whatever works for you and whatever, you know, some people it's maybe you're not walking, maybe you're running. Maybe it's, you know, sitting down and, watching a couple shows of Netflix. Not too much, obviously.
Yeah.
For some people, maybe it's having a cup of tea. Whatever it is, playing with their dog. I don't know. But, you have to find what works for you. I think sometimes, in this self-development journey, we try to take all of these strategies from other individuals, not realizing that this is a completely different human being with different beliefs, different background, different upbringing, different set of principles, different set of morals, different set of values. And we try to take what works for them and then it doesn't work for us. And then we wonder why. Well, it's because it's a different human. Like
Yeah.
it's just sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's okay. And sometimes we get caught up in like, oh well, this guy, he's a millionaire, he's a 7, 8 figure guy, and
Yeah.
he does this. So if I'm not doing this, then it's like, oh man, if it don't work for you, it don't work for you, man. Just let it be. Find what works for you. So
And that's like the millionaire morning routine. And, I've probably fallen into that myself in the past few years where honestly, it's kind of easier because you just shut your brain off and you just listen to what they say. And it's easier because you don't have to do your own thinking.
yep.
And as you said, it can work for you. It might, but you're a different human. You're a different human being. And, because of that, have different circumstances. You have a different upbringing. You have different mentality. And so 9 times out of 10, most likely it's not going to work for you. I think, taking some bits and pieces from different people. I spoke with a friend of mine, Keon, the other day. He's also a massive real estate investor, and he actually had his brother is the econ guy for Ty Lopez. So pretty successful pair of brothers. But he was telling me, in the beginning, what you should do rather than just taking over someone else's persona kind of thing and, taking what they say word for word and taking it to heart, kind of Costco sample it. So if you're going to Costco, you're taking samples of every little thing, whether I'm talking to you or I'm talking to another investor, I'm talking to someone else, taking little bits and pieces that can eventually help me create this entire person who is fully developed. And you're taking these bits and pieces, but you're not just copy and pasting from one person to the next entirely.
Yeah. that's definitely good insight. And kind of to piggyback off of that, one thing that my dad told me that I'll never forget, and I believe I told you this as well, is don't buy everything at the yard sale. And I think I was maybe like, I don't know, like probably 19 or 20 when he told me that, somewhere around there. And I'm like, yo, what do you mean don't buy everything at the yard sale? He said, people sell things that they don't want at the yard sale. So why would you buy all of the stuff that they don't want? And he said it's a metaphor for the things that people think and the things that people say, right? So if I go to a yard sale and I only need a toolbox, I'm not gonna get a fine china set and some subwoofers and all of the stuff that I don't need, right? I'm gonna get what I need and I'm gonna go. Because again, they're selling all of this stuff for a reason because they don't need it. So what would I look like buying everything at this yard sale? And now I have a yard sale with not only my junk, but somebody else's junk that I bought all of, right? So, when you said that, that's what that made me think of. And that's something that I always go back to. Something that my dad told me. It's just been so valuable for me as a young man to really consider that because you know now I really take a lot of things from individuals that even if I don't like what you have to say, there's something in what you said that I may be able to use at a later point. So
It, I think, I'm when you were saying that, I started thinking about courses. There's so many people, and I don't want to say any names, but there's so many people that just do courses, and that's their way of income. But they're teaching you a course on real estate. They're teaching you a course on how to sell real estate or how to do X, Y, and Z, and they don't even do X, Y, and Z. They make their money off courses, and that's what that kind of made me think of. And you see these funnels as well, where it's like, oh, this is worth 1,400, this is worth 997, this is worth 2,000, this is worth 5. Like, but oh, I'm gonna give it to you all for 1,000. But in reality, it's the same thing as yard sale. It's something that they don't want, that they're not benefiting from. And obviously, there are some good funnels, some good courses, some good gurus, but a lot of them are just they do that instead of the real thing, which is what I thought of from that.
I think when it comes to that, one thing that I learned from a course I actually took was people want to learn from people in which they learn from the best. So like it's all about style. So if I teach in a certain way that you are able to receive, I want to learn more from you, not from this other guy who makes it hard for me to understand. But another person may like the other guy rather than the guy that I like. So there's a market for everybody when it comes to that. And then when it comes to it's really worth 5,000 or whatever, that's obviously going to be sales tactics to make it seem
Yeah.
valuable than it actually is. And gets them to feel like, oh well, if this is worth 3,000 and you're giving it to me for 997, this is a great deal, right? In
Yeah.
theory, but how do you know it's really worth $3,000? But nevertheless, I just want to put that quick tidbit in.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to ask as well, how do you, so for me, what I love to do now is I actually stopped lifting a little bit now. It just got boring. Honestly, it's the same thing, same repetition, same thing every time. So I've recently dove into um, combat sports. I started doing some boxing training, and I hate it right now. Not the boxing. I like boxing training, but I hate running. And I've been running here in the mornings, and I have to say when I have when I'm 15 or 30 minutes into it, I love it. It makes me feel great, and it gives you that natural. Just it's it's hard, man. It's difficult because you have to. One thing I have to learn is just how to even breathe while you're running. But I want to see what kind of fitness routine, if you have a routine, or if you just go and do what you want to do and get some sort of physical activity throughout a day, so that you're getting that physical energy exerted as well as that mental energy.
Yeah, I think right now my goal is to be in the gym every day, not necessarily to work out every day. Um, the goal is to work out 5 days a week and then have 2 active recovery days. And what I mean by active recovery is doing something that is still physical activity but isn't um strenuous activity. Maybe it's stretching, maybe it's walking on the treadmill. Um, to me, active recovery in a way is sometimes, playing basketball or getting some shots up, running a couple of games, just for some cardio, right? But I have my push days, my pull days, leg day, and then abs. And then I always try to wrap up with, some type of cardio if possible. Um, I'm trying to get to a point where I'm not in the gym super long, but because usually like if I do anything but abs, because usually like if it's push, pull, or legs, I always add an ab circuit at the end. Um
As basically every day.
abs every day. Yeah. So um I'm usually in there like unless I'm just in there super, super quick doing 3 exercises, 3 sets of each, and I'm getting out. If I'm doing a full blown exercise, I'm usually in there for about an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah. And it's funny. So when I started working out myself, I'm not sure if you have a similar story, but I was very, very overweight and I had very bad mental health to pair with that, which is obviously not a great match for one another. But I got into the gym. I wanted abs and I wanted to lose weight. And I tell people to this day, it's not even, weight loss or physical improvement necessarily that gets me into the gym. I would make a very good argument that your mental health is almost more impacted by working out than your physical. And what? Obviously, they play into one another. But one thing with that I started doing recently is cold plunge, and that just the cold water. Just I feel like for me, it just makes your mind just gets your mind clear, and it gives you some mental clarity. Um, but then also running. That's what I was saying earlier. With that the natural dopamine, just really gets you in a great mood, and it elevates elevates the rest of your day. I think if you have a good morning routine, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day. I've heard a saying a few times now that if you win the best way to win the day is to win the first hour of the day in the morning.
Yeah. And my guy Danny that helps me out with my credit, that he says win the day a lot. And when you win the day, you win enough days, you can win the week. Win enough weeks, you can win the month. You win enough months, you can win the year, and so on and so forth, right? Um, and I think, when it comes to entrepreneurship, health is definitely wealth. Like I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are starting to realize that now is that you can have all of this money, right? But if you're not physically fit, then what is it worth? If you're not able to spend time with your kids and run around with your kids on the beach that you just took a vacation on, what is it worth? That's the things that I think of. I just feel like every action always impacts somebody else. And when you think about it in that way, it's like, okay, who am I impacting by doing this? And sometimes, the only person that you're impacting is yourself, whether it be positively or negatively. Like, the, I just like to consider things like that because it's worth considering. That's just the type of person that I am. Not in the sense that that's going to change. Um, Maybe it won't change anything, or it's not in the sense that I care what people think, but in the sense that I just like to be thoughtful about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and who I'm doing it for.
Just being mindful about what you're partaking in throughout the day.
Yeah.
How do you manage stress Is it through working out, or is it through prayer? Is it through, I know you were talking about earlier running yourself, or I don't know if that was an example you're making for other people. Um, Sounds like you're very, very busy throughout the day. And, from our prior conversation, I know you're busy with business. You're busy with multiple businesses. You're busy, as you said, going to the gym an hour, maybe 2 hours every day. How do you make time for yourself to just not get overly worried, overly stressed out?
I watch a lot of YouTube. Like sometimes it can become an unhealthy amount. But YouTube is definitely a way for me to decompress. Um, Playing chess, learning new skills to an extent. Sometimes, I get caught up in always wanting to develop, always wanting to get better, always wanting to improve, where I literally don't take any time to just sit and like be a couch potato. Like sometimes that's necessary, right? In order for you to truly refuel. Um, but yeah, definitely prayer, definitely working out. Um, and yeah, just sitting and just having my moments of being lazy because I mean I'm a busy individual. So, the times where I'm not busy, I like to relax and sometimes it's very challenging to just turn it off mentally. Um, but I do take time to relax and decompress. And kind of get away from all of the hustle and bustle from you know the business space.
I think it's very unique that you're saying that you need to be lazy sometimes, because it's the truth. But also the other part of it is, I think when you're a beginner entrepreneur, or when you first starting developing this mindset, what I did is I started sleeping 6 hours, just basically to maximize the amount of hours that I was awake to be productive. And by doing so, I actually minimized, or at least reduced, how productive I actually was within those hours. And I wasn't giving my chance of being lazy. And, it's really just more of a mental masturbation than actually being productive. Because I know we've talked about this before, where if you're organized, if you're diligent with your time, recurring thing with this podcast today, but you're going to be able to get a lot more done while also being able to be lazy at times throughout the day.
Yep. And in this business, me and my partners, we just hired a VA firm. And that's one of the things that allow me to focus on higher leverage tasks that need to get done. Um, and that's a benefit for me because that's one less thing on my plate. Because again, it just goes all the way back to networking and opportunities. When you network, you get opportunities, and when these networking opportunities turn into actual opportunities, they allow you to save time, and that's the most valuable thing, or well, probably the most valuable resource that we have in this life is time. We cannot get it back. There is no receipt for it. There is no 30-day time back guarantee. Like it doesn't exist, right? So all of these things that we spend time on, you know, and again, you have to know how to enjoy things in moderation, and that's still something that I'm learning. 'Cause, like, man, I love YouTube too,
Yeah.
bro. Like, not only for leisure, but also it's a great place to learn. Um, but nevertheless, it's sometimes I can find myself wasting time on it. Um, but you know, again, having people around that hold you accountable and know your potential and want to get that potential out of you, want that potential to be realized, you have to keep those individuals around. Um, those individuals are also going to help you outsource some of those things that you didn't want to do anyway. Like I'm good at cold calling, but I don't like cold calling. So guess what I did? I hired a VA. I'd rather teach how to cold call or teach my strategies on cold calling rather than doing the cold calling themselves. Because at this point in my real estate career, it is not a high leverage task for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
And if you're thinking about a VA, you're not paying for cold calling. What you're paying for is literally your time.
time.
Because cold calling is very important in real estate specifically, but also other sales jobs and other sales businesses and other businesses, and like every business has some sort of sales involved. So cold calling is very important in so many different businesses. But VAs, if you can find a good one, a lot of them are actually very helpful and they're able to produce results. But even you're not even buying cold calling. Like I said, you're buying the time. You're buying 8 hours of time. So, these VAs, most of the time they're pretty cheap. They're, $4 to $6, $8 an hour. Your money is your time worth $6 an hour. If yes, then it's kind of a no brainer whether you're gonna, waste your time tediously dialing away, or you're gonna just hire someone to do that for you. And, obviously there's some people who are in the beginning of their business and they can't afford to, and cold calling can still be a very good thing to do in the beginning of your business yourself, because you can produce a lot of results and it's one of the most cost effective ways to do so as well.
I agree. And I'll say another thing too. Even with ChatGPT, right? They're smart people make systems smart. Dumb people make systems dumb. So if I'm not a smart individual and I try to use ChatGPT, just because ChatGPT is AI doesn't mean that it's just going to be smart for me. It's just going to come down to my level of intelligence. So conversely, if I'm a smart, intelligent individual, ChatGPT or the VA or whoever is then going to rise to my level of intelligence, and we're going to have a easy and seamless connection because I'm an intelligent individual that is organized and has systems, whereas someone who isn't intelligent in the sense of business and organization, they're not organized, they don't have a system, they don't have a script, they don't, they haven't been past a certain stage in a phone call or whatever the case may be, you know, that that's going to hold people up. And some people think that just because you use these systems, it's going to make you better off, or you're going to make, 50,000 or 100,000 a month. That's not going to happen if you don't have the right systems. If you don't have the right systems in place in your own life, not even any other CRM or whatever, right? It's not going to matter, because if you're not organized, it makes no difference.
Organization, being diligent with your time is this recurring theme of this podcast again. But no, I was gonna ask on YouTube too. Are you typically using that for learning, or is that part of your being lazy? You're just it for leisure, watching Mr. Beast and watching whoever else
It's
is big. I
it's,
think that
it's a
else
little
is
it's
big
a
right
little
now.
pretty flow. I don't watch Mr. Beast though. Big shout out to Mr. Beast, but I don't watch Mr. Beast. I watch a lot of gaming walkthroughs. Um, so essentially, I'm a big sports sim type of guy. So FIFA, Madden,
Okay.
2K, MLB The Show, NCAA, all of those titles. I've played those since I was a kid. I think the first game, or the first Madden I had, I want to say was oh 05 or 07. Me personally, I think '07 and 12 are the best Maddens ever to me. But that's neither here nor there. But I watch a lot of gaming walkthroughs, uh, just silly stuff. But then on the learning side, it's a lot of chess, it's a lot of real estate, it's a lot of self development and understanding my mind, business credit and funding, just different business avenues, as far as business acquiring an actual business, buying a business, just different things like that. I just try to learn as much about it, learning new languages, exercise, basketball workouts, stuff like that. So, but sometimes on YouTube, because both of those things are kind of right, like side by side to each other,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, do I want to learn right now or do I just want to like not do anything? So that's the divide that happens sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good to have a balance of both. Obviously, you probably want to have some more emphasis on the learning, not as much on the leisure, but it's still important to have a little bit of both. Can you take me into why you got into chess and, if you're learning any lessons from it that'll kind of transition or integrate into your personal day-to-day life, your business day-to-day life?
I actually won. So I won 2 games. I lost 2 games yesterday. So I won a game online and in person, and then I lost the game online and in person. Because there was a guy that I was talking to at the Y yesterday, who we ended up playing a game together. It was super dope. And then the game I won online, I actually beat the guy with 5 seconds left. It was a 10-minute running clock for each side, and I got checkmate with 5 seconds left. I was very happy about that. I didn't play a good
Yeah.
game at all. I shouldn't have won. But um what I've learned from chess is that I the way I played chess, or the way I played chess in the beginning is the way that I operated in life. I was very aggressive. I didn't protect my pieces. I was always on the attack. Um, I didn't think through my moves. I didn't make my move considering what the next move would be, or just certain things like that. So that part, and it's still a learning curve. Like I'm really not good. I just started playing chess like consistently. I want to say in maybe May or June. I'm like a 400 elo player. Like I'm not very good at all. But what I've learned is you have to be very thoughtful, but you also have to take opportunity when it presents itself. And you can't be allowed to lose things in order to gain a win. Um, I think now after taking the losses and taking the beatings in the beginning, um, you kind of get jaded to not wanting to give up any of your pieces, but in reality, giving up certain pieces or giving up certain things is going to allow other things to open up in order for you to win the actual game instead of, or I'll put it like this, like you have to give up pieces in order to win the war instead of the battle.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lose certain battles in chess, but you win the war at the end of it. Like for instance, with the game that I won yesterday with 5 seconds left, there were battles that I lost, but I, inevitably won the war. Um, and you know, same thing, yesterday, even with the games that I lose, those are the ones that are most instructive. Obviously, losses are a lot more instructive than wins. But even in chess, I've seen, I play chess on chess.com and I have the platinum membership. So I'm able to go and recap all of my games and see all the moves that I missed. And there are some times where the game will go on 20 more moves, but it could have been done, or I could have got checkmate in a certain move, but I just didn't see it. So I would prolong the game, even though I had a winning position. I would prolong the game. No, when I just could have got checkmate. So
Yeah.
it's just so much that I'm learning, and I'm learning in life to really slow down and consider every move, not only from my position but from someone else's position. Like, what moves do they have available? Are their pieces protected? Are my pieces protected? What is the consequence if I take this piece here? If I move here, and if they move their pawn, it's just I'm just able to think a lot more clearly, in a sequential fashion, and it's shown itself in my life, and it's been great.
And just learning from your mistakes too. It's, I mean, whether it's you could have ended the game earlier. And even if you won, or, just going from being aggressive, both in real life and in the game, to being more considerate with what moves you're making, what sacrifices you're willing to.
Yeah.
But, going back to the 2K and all the video games, it's just crazy again. Like I said, to me, that you're able to make time for this kind of thing. Like, usually when you think of entrepreneurship, it's like, oh yeah, you have to get rid of all these things. And we spoke about the Eisenhower matrix the other day with the for those who don't know what that is. It's a very important and very urgent, important, not urgent, urgent, not important, and not important, not urgent. And, typically you'd probably think of 2K and, other video games being in the not important, not urgent, but you're still able to be very productive with your time, getting a lot of these very important, very urgent and important things done, while also making time for leisure and making time for video games and you.
Yeah, it's not an overindulgence, right? Like too much of a good thing too much of a too much of a good thing could be a bad thing, right? Like, another thing that I enjoy doing is I love a good cigar, right? I smoke cigars every single day. No, but once in a while I enjoy having a cigar. I would love if it was more than once in a while, but I don't need it to be every day. It's everything is in moderation, right? Video games, even, chess, just all of these things just have to be moderated so you're taking in a healthy amount of it. Ibuprofen is great, but if you take too many, you know, you're probably gonna have your last headache, right? You're not gonna have a headache anymore after that if you take too many ibuprofen. So, everything is good. You just need to be able to moderate it and have the discipline to know, okay, this is, I've been on the game for an hour. I've been on the game for an hour and a half. Like, this is not stopping.
Yeah, yeah. And I think these video games are created a lot of the time to not make it very easy to do that. Make it very easy to get off within an hour, hour and a half, and it can easily become an all nighter, or all day, all night, like mania type thing. Like I used to, that was my thing too when I used to play video games, is specifically NBA 2K, and it just take several hours of your life. And nowadays there's the e-gamers, the esports that you can make good money off of, but obviously us are doing that. So good to be able to have that self-control, to be able to indulge yourself in it, but also not go overboard.
Yep, absolutely. My vice was always like Madden and NCAA football. Like that's been my vice for a very, very long time. I've spent hours on NCAA, with recruiting and winning these games and just all the stuff, getting the best recruits, all that stuff. Now, I will say, when I'm bringing in $1 million a month, guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to definitely take a day where I'm going to do nothing but play my Xbox, like, because I earned it. But
Yeah,
right now, again, moderation. Like, I'm not going to uh it's all about priorities. If I know I have to make some calls about this property, or if I know I have to prepare a layout for this new product that we're gonna make a new website for, then I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'll do it later. I'm gonna play a game of I'm gonna play a game of Madden, or I'm gonna
yeah,
get on my player or whatever it is. Like
yeah,
that's just not a priority. Is that making any money? No, it's not. Not for me. So, those things I've been able to consider them. And again, just be more mindful about what's important.
yeah,
And what's urgent. If it's not important and it's not urgent, then it can be done at the very end of everything that we're doing. And not only that, it'll be done with moderation as well.
yeah, yeah. I I had a I probably had a 99 overall player, and I haven't used him in, I don't know, 6 months now, and I'm sure nothing is there waiting for me. Very
Yeah,
much,
true.
it's always going to be there. So, having a priority and getting the other things done that you need to do first, and then if you have that time to have time for your leisure and do it, enjoy your time. And I would even argue it's better to do that, better to enjoy your time rather than being lazy by taking a nap or something, just
Yeah, no,
oversleeping or something. With
yeah, reload. Yeah, that's one thing that I will always advocate for is a good nap. Oh man, I've woken up from some 15-minute naps, and I've just been ready to like freaking pick the world up and throw it. Like it's just made me it's just like our brains, it's literally a supercomputer, right?
yeah,
We have all of these things in our brain, and sometimes you need to put it on the charger and let it reboot, you
yeah,
know? And then you wake up and you're like, man, like all of my brain RAM is clear. Like I can think now. Like I can think about all of this stuff again. You're not getting so overwhelmed because you took a minute to just, you know, shut down for a little while. Like that stuff's important. Whether it's a nap, whether it's YouTube, whether it's playing a
yeah.
video game, whether it's going swimming, whatever that is for you, you know that like you have to take that time to remove your brain from being in performance mode all the
Yeah. The issue for me was growing up when I had my depression and my bad mental health and everything like that. I remember I would come home from school and go straight to my room and go to sleep. And obviously, that's not healthy. I've realized recently that you know short naps actually somehow give you a lot more energy than long naps. You can sleep 2 hours and wake up tired, but if you sleep 15 minutes, like you said, um, you actually wake up energized. And something I've found out about within the last 6 months or so is military naps, where you sleep on the floor, you put your legs up onto elevated surface above your heart. Typically, I think it's supposed to be like 2, 3, 4 feet up. 4 feet might be high, but 2 or 3 feet up in the air, and it just helps you fall asleep. And you do that for like 10 minutes, and it actually, when I've done it, I haven't actually fallen asleep most of the time, but I have um, felt energized. So you're resting, but you're not necessarily asleep. And that's
time. I feel that too, where you don't fall like asleep, but like because you're still aware of your surroundings, but you're like your brain is kind of like it's literally a computer. Like your brain is in sleep mode. So if you put your computer, if I put my Mac in sleep mode right now and I close it, it's not gonna be on technically. But if I open it back up, I'm gonna be right back to where I was before I put it in sleep mode.
yeah,
So we're the same way. I have to try that though. I have to try that.
yeah. I definitely highly suggest trying that, especially if you're running low on time. You don't have 20, 30 minutes to nap. I would say that's a great way to get a quick nap in and actually feel rejuvenated afterwards. And I did, when I said that, I actually remembered there was one time recently I did that and I did fall asleep. I think I did that for a little longer, 13, 14, maybe 15 minutes. But still felt re-energized. And when I take short naps too, it's similar to when I was talking about earlier, the mindful walks, where your mind just feels more mental clarity and it feels like it's ready to go back into it. Even though it's only been, you worked maybe 6 hours and then you took a nap and it's only been 15 minutes. Now you're ready to work another 6 hours or whatever it is. So just that short period of time really helps. But we have spoken, off camera before about your relationship with your woman and how you guys met and how she actually lives out of state. So, I'm sure that's difficult. Not being able to see her too often in person, at least. I'm sure, you guys talk pretty often over the phone and FaceTime and all the technology that we have at our hands free nowadays.
Yeah, seriously. I think it's just so crazy. Obviously, when you talked about how I'm smiling. I love her. She actually
You
called.
know, man.
Yeah,
I've never
bro.
asked
That's
about her.
that's that's my boo. I love her, man. That's she's my best friend before anything, and that was something that you know uh, before I met her, that was something that I wanted to prioritize in my next relationship. Is that like I didn't want to not be friends with who I was going to choose to be in a serious relationship with. But she's been so much more than a friend. She's been my confidant, she's been my therapist, she's been my business partner, she's been my consultant, she's been my accountability partner, my gym partner, just my partner in all aspects and in all ways. A true Proverbs 31 woman, through and through. So yeah, it is challenging. We've definitely had our challenges. I'm in Indianapolis, she stays in Baltimore, so we're 600 miles away. So it's not easy at all. I actually drove out there a couple months ago, 1,200 miles round trip, 10 hours including.
Power of love.
Yeah, that's true love, bro. Like no one can tell me I'm not in love with this woman. Like
You're not driving 1,200 miles for someone that you just want to sleep with one time or something.
yeah, no, not at all. And even with that, she's in her abstinence journey. I'm in my abstinence journey. I believe I don't remember the exact date, but like December, it's sometime in December. It'll make 3 years of me being abstinent. So that's something that we prioritize heavily in our relationship. Obviously, she's a believer as well. So the priority was just making sure that we were equally yoked in business and physically, mentally, financially, all these different ways, all of which we're still working on, right? She's still in college. She's going to be a junior this year, and she has a business as well. So, all of these things we're still continuing to work through, but I think it's going to be a beautiful thing. Once we reach the stage where we'll be able to share our testimony to other individuals who may not believe in long distance. Because what's crazy is I knew that the the woman that I wanted, she wasn't in Indianapolis. Like, I just knew she wasn't. I didn't know where she was, but I just knew she wasn't in Indianapolis because for me, with all due respect to, all the women in the city, like, if you've had one, you've had them all. That's just how I felt about it. So knowing that, having that knowledge, it's like, okay, well, I'm good on anything here. I've lived here all my life, like there's nothing new here for me, right? I knew that for a fact. So I accepted the challenge of, what this entails, and it's been challenging. But it's a challenge that I accept, and it's a challenge that I'm going to take on, and
Yeah.
that I'm willing to take for the long run.
It sounds like, I mean, today where there's so much hookup culture and short term relationships, you guys almost have, or I would say, do have a stronger relationship than most people do when they're living with one another, and you guys are 600 miles apart.
Yeah, it's very strong because we didn't prioritize the physical part of it. So when the before I even go forward, let me be very clear. I am very attracted to this woman. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't want to go to the next level physically with this woman. I do. Like I'm a man. I just want to make that very clear. But discipline is more important to me, and respecting her, respecting God, respecting, you know, just all of respecting myself, frankly. Those things are of utmost importance to me. But saying that, you know, having the having the physical part out of the way, uh, building a relationship from that point was super easy. I won't say easy, but it was simple because we knew what we wanted. And when you have two people coming together that know what they want, it's very easy to build a very strong and meaningful and substantial relationship. I like the relationships that are built on substance. And, from from 16, everybody starts dating in high school, right? Around like actually dating, in freshman, sophomore year or whatever. Um, so, from 16 to, about 20, I was dating, but, I did not have substantial, or relationships of substance. So knowing what a relationship that was very shallow looked and felt like, I knew that that's something that I didn't want. So, with me and Lauren, shout out Lauren Kelly, the dot Trillis Dolls on Instagram, go check her out. But yeah, that was that was a priority for me to build that relationship, build the friendship. And like that's literally like that's my best friend, bro. Like we talk every single day. And about any and everything. Like we're so comfortable with each other, it's gross. Like
Yeah.
it's actually disgusting.
So you were a player before
Oh yeah.
in a Tony.
Yes. Yes.
So with that being said, then did you just recently find find God, find religion?
I'll say that I started to take my walk with God more seriously.
Okay. So you mentioned Proverbs 31:1 earlier. Recite that verse for us.
Well, it's not Proverbs 31:1, but I'll read the passage that I'm speaking of. Sure. Um I'll read.
Or just just give the overall gist of it if you don't know it by heart.
Yeah. So I'll read verse 10 through 12. This is in the New Living Translation. Um, who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. And the rest of this passage just goes on to talk about all of the qualities about her, with you know her being an entrepreneur, her picking out a plot of land and buying it, and planning on it. Her taking care of her maids. Essentially, her husband calling her blood. All of these things, she's all of that for me. And again, there are some areas even in my walk where I'm not the man that I need to be yet. But, you know, we complement each other very well. I made sure that I was on the way to being not even on the way, but I was a complete individual. I feel like with God, you are complete. And before I really took my relationship with God seriously, I was not. Um, I was dealing with incomplete individuals. So like when people say 50-50 in a relationship, like that's stupid. Like I don't give half of any. I give 100% of everything. But realistically, right? There have been times where she's given 90 and I've given 10. There's times where she's given 5, I've given 95. There's times it just depends. That is the nature of a relationship, right? But the goal is always 100. But when it comes to just the complimenting part, we were both complete individuals. You can't compliment someone unless you're complete yourself, right? I don't complete anybody. I'm already complete. So when she already came complete, I knew I was already complete. So it's like, okay, well, cool. At the end of it all, we can at least be friends, right? Like I know I can be friends with you. But once I really, saw what she was about, um, and saw what her goals were and, what she was after, it became very easy for me to be like, you know what, I'm hanging it up. I'm done. Like
Yeah.
you're the one for me. So
And I think that's very important as well, is to be a complete individual. I think nowadays with the online dating with Tinder and Bumble and Hinge, I think is another one. All these online dating apps. They're I would go as far as arguing that no one on these apps are complete individuals, and that's why they're on there. They're desperate for that attention, and they're desperate to find, or I wouldn't even say it. I think with hookup culture, these a lot of people on there are just looking for hookups. They're looking to complete themselves, maybe, or they're just looking to get some satisfaction, which for you that would obviously go against your abstinence. I actually wanted to touch on that, and just at such a young age, obviously, it's not difficult, especially being a successful business owner and being in shape and everything, and it's not difficult to get a woman to sleep. What got you into doing that, and what impact has it had on your life?
Well, to speak on the impact, you know, not concerning myself with who I have sex with has definitely freed up my mind as far as
Mm.
space to think about other.
Yeah.
So, um, I think when I closed my first deal, I was on my way to a year being fully, so just that kind of just goes to show how focused I was. And had I not been abstinent at that time, I definitely would have like spent my time trying to do something super stupid, you know. Um uh the benefits is just it's really just kind of allowed me to see the things that, I would partake in, whether it be sex, pornography, whatever that may be. It's just allowed me to see it from a lens of um, just how truly unhealthy it is as far as a coping mechanism. It affects your testosterone, it affects a whole lot of things that helps a man be a man, right? So those are the benefits. But as far as what was the other one? I'm sorry.
What got you into it?
Oh, so that was the time where um that was the space where I started to really take out more seriously. That was 2020. No, that was 2020. That was 2020.
Okay.
So, I had just turned 20 years old, and I'm in a whole new decade now, right? So, but I had started to get in contact with some of my old buddies from high school when they were on the Bible study call. And, they will be on a call every night, doing a devotional and just, fellowshipping. And it was something that's what really got me connected back with God in a very, very serious way. And the last time I had a sexual encounter, the conviction was just too much for me. And I
Yeah.
just said, no, I don't want to do this ever again if it's not with the person that I'm gonna be spending my life with. I couldn't do it. Not even that I couldn't, because obviously can't is the inability to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that was my choice. That has been my choice. And that's what made me pursue it because, again, like these individuals that I was having these encounters with, and I've even told my woman this, all of these individuals that I've had these encounters with, I don't even speak to any of these individuals anymore. And these are handfuls of women. And this is not anything to brag about at all. But it just goes to show to what you said with the culture that we live in. It's just so unhealthy because we just seek to fill a void that can only be filled by one thing. In my to my understanding, that void has been filled for me, and that is why I am complete. I feel as though I am complete. There are some things that I need to shore up on. But as far as that void being filled, I am complete in that sense. I won't say that I'm complete in the sense of like I'm a finished product because I'm definitely not. But as far as that void being filled, it definitely is. Uh, but that's what got me into it. And after that, I'm like,
So now that you've found your life partner, your forever woman, kind of hypothetical, but do you think it would be? Do you think you still would be abstinent if you guys lived in the same state?
I don't.
That it, you know,
The,
it's
the, this is a yes or no question. The answer is probably no. I don't believe I would. And we've had this conversation before, and we're like, yo, if we, especially at the beginning of our relationship, because we made a connection so quickly, um, where like just the chemistry that we had, it just would have went, it wouldn't have went. So I think that was a guardrail that God considered. Oh, knowing where we both were in our walks and knowing, you know, that was for safety reasons, and I truly believe that. Um, but yeah, I definitely no. To answer your question, I don't believe I would. But going to visit has allowed me to better understand how to interact and how to deal with a woman that I am attracted to and that I want to be my wife in a pure way. And that's
yeah.
very challenging at 22 years old when you've had, you know, all of these different, you know, experiences. Um, Again, not bragging at all, like I'm not proud of any sense, but that's the reality, right? So there are things that I've had to unlearn about the way that I think about women. And you know, it's definitely been a interesting but a great journey for sure. Just learning how, just relearning new things and rewiring. So
And I think it probably allows you to develop more of a stronger relationship as well, just because you're not, obviously you can't since you're out of state. But if you guys were in the same state and you were actively engaging in intercourse, you would be, maybe there's the manipulation there and some other relationships where I'm gonna do or I'm gonna agree with her just to get in bed. But since that's not something that's on the table for you guys right now, it's allowing you to actually get to know each other much more thoroughly, much more honestly, and I think it's very powerful. And once you do, it's gonna be, um,
yeah, it's gonna be
I
awesome,
don't want to paint a picture, but
bro. It's bro. The picture is painted, bro. The picture, but
I don't need that picture in my mind. I don't need that picture in my mind.
but no, like on a serious note though, like I I know that another reason why it's been this long for me is because I know what it feels like to do it the wrong way. My desire is to do it the right way. That's why I'm waiting. So knowing what the right way is and hold, because essentially I don't want to settle for less when I've settled for less for so long, right? From, you know, from 15 to 20, I, I had settled for less. I had settled for less than the best. So now my decision is I'm waiting for the best that is to offer. And I'm willing to wait for that. Um, no matter what the cost.
And because you're religious, are you waiting till marriage or
Absolutely. Yes.
okay, okay? Because I know there's mixed reviews or mixed opinions nowadays on marriage, just because of the legal part of it. A lot of people don't want the government to get involved in their partnership, and
Well, if you think about it that way, you know that if that's the way you think about it, and that's what it is. Like, perception is reality, right? So if your perception is, oh, marriage is a govern is a legal vehicle or whatever you choose to call it, um, it's not. Again, I don't want to get super biblical, but marriage is when two people become one. It becomes they become one entity together. Now the United States has perverted a lot of things. We won't go into that conversation, but nevertheless, it to me, it's just a very exclusive and beautiful way to serve, and it's a representation of uh Christ's marriage to his bride, which is the church. And I actually introduced my friend Jacob to his wife Janae, and I went to their wedding, and I wanted to cry, but like I was sitting with the homies, I couldn't cry. But it was truly beautiful because something that my friend Jacob said was he he literally has to die every day
Yeah.
for her, die to himself. And that was just very powerful for me, and it showed me how far away I am because I'm like, bro, like I would, but you have to die daily. You have to that has to be an everyday thing. Um, and not to say that I'm not there yet, but there's just certain things that have to be, put in place for us to be where we want to be in order to be ready for that phase. So
Does society's norms scare you at all? With, I think the divorce rate is like over 50% now, or is it you kind of realize that you're different and society and you
yeah,
have
I'm definitely different, bro. I'm not. I told her, a couple of days ago, I'm not a quitter. Like I don't give up. When anything that that will possibly come up, like me and my buddy talked about this last night. He said, "Bro, you should get a prenup." I said, "No," because the way I see it, that's almost like hedging your bets against something that's supposed to be forever anyway, right? So why would I hedge my bets on something that I know is gonna and if I wasn't Christian, then yeah, it's gonna be something that I'm thinking about. But like there's nothing about a prenup in the Bible. There's nothing about, and even let's just say I build a freaking $2 billion company, right? Let's just say Boulder Rock Solutions becomes worth 2 billion. We end up splitting the assets on it, and we go our separate ways. Well, let's just say she takes 90% of it. She takes $900 million. I take 100 million. Do you think I can't make another $2 billion company?
so
Who cares?
the skills can never be taken from you, from anyone, from your woman or from the government or anyone.
And that's my thing. So not only do I don't believe in quitting, but even in a set, Lord forbid that does happen, I'm not the type to hedge my bets, like, because at the end of the day, it's just money. I'm still gonna do the things that I was called to do. You know, I can serve with 100 million or $100. I'm still gonna have the ability to serve and do what God called me to do. The money amount really doesn't matter. I'll still be able to sustain myself. And, at the end of the day, like, again, that's my friend before anything. So, like, just on a friendship level, it's like, yo, we're going to figure this out because, like, whatever. And one thing that I will say is that I'm going to therapy, she's going to therapy, and we're going to premarital counseling as well. So, you know, a lot of the things that happen in divorce have to do with issues that were not solved before marriage. The divorce rate is a reflection of issues that were brought into the marriage. So if you were bad with finances before you got married, do you think you're going to be better with finances when you get married? No, you're not. You're bringing the same problem into your marriage, right? So that's just the way I see things. Like, you don't have marriage problems, you have personal problems that you bring into marriage, and they become marriage problems. So we're trying to sort those problems out before we get to that point. And that's not to say that we're never going to have problems, but the stuff that would prompt a divorce, whether it be finance, whatever it may be, right? We're nipping those things in the bud now because, my grandparents, before they passed away, they were married like 50, 60 years. Like, that's the blueprint for me, is like, this is super long term, super long term. So that's the way I'm looking.
and at a very young age as well, because I don't know how long you've been with her, but I mean, if you met her today, you're 23, you live at least another 60 years. So, you um, but that's another thing is, not believing in quitting. That's another thing that unfortunately is pretty common nowadays is quitting. And whether it's on a relationship or it's in business or even in religion, there's some people who just give up on religion and because things aren't going their way. Um, but another thing is, with going to therapy, it's not something that you typically see a lot of men openly talking about just because it's seen as not masculine. It's seen as, being emotional, and men nowadays aren't supposed to be emotional, even though, everyone has emotions. In the past, I've gone to actually inpatient once, and I was in and out of outpatient throughout my childhood. And I would say, honestly, for me, the biggest thing that helped me was not even therapy, it was actually just getting in shape. So
Yeah,
that's my perspective
you're
on it. But you're also doing both. So you're in shape, you have a business, and you're doing therapy. So if I went to therapy today, I'm sure it probably would still benefit me. But back then, it was kind of therapy, talking with no action.
yeah. I don't subscribe to the I don't subscribe to like, you need to hold it in. You a man. Like, nah, like holding your emotions in is weak.
Yeah. And
That
that's yeah.
that's weakness because you're not strong enough to share how you feel with somebody. Like that's weak.
Yeah.
So, I just don't subscribe to that, bro. Like, you know, and I'm not, you know, just mental health is important, bro. So, like, for instance, when you get in shape, are you just gonna stop going to the gym? No. You have to go to the gym to stay in shape. So if I want to continue to be mentally healthy, even if I am mentally healthy, right?
Yeah.
Even if I am, I'm still gonna go to therapy and allow uh uh an objective individual that is outside of my life to give me insights because like an objective individual is going to see different things from the outside looking in rather than the inside looking out. It's two different perspectives.
Yeah.
You need that. It's important from not from your mom, not from whoever, an individual who don't know you from a can of paint. Like before you even came into that room. Like my therapist, she knows me because I tell her about me. But before she met me, she didn't know who I was, so she can't make any. It's just neutral insight about what I'm telling her because her job is to let essentially you're dealing with a professional listener. Like that's
Yeah.
really like
Yeah.
just stuff, and they're giving you insights on what on what you see and what you feel and so on and so forth. It's been so beneficial. I can't even.
Yeah. If you think about it, if you're going to anyone else but a therapist about your mental health that's in your day to day life, it's going to be someone that does know you, that does have a subjective opinion. And, uh, obviously your mom, your dad, your parents, loved ones want to see the best for you, but they're still going to have a subjective opinion because they're a part of your life. And, because of that, one, they might not give you the best advice. And two, some of their advice might actually be more beneficial to them than it is to you. So, I know for me, like my parents do kind of have limiting beliefs, and I'm an entrepreneur, and they have some limiting beliefs regarding entrepreneurship. Um, like when I talk about the podcast being big in the future, they're like, do you really think that's all going to happen? Like, yeah, I have no doubt. You know, but also, with therapy, I think a lot of people consider it, look at it as, and I think these are a lot of people who've never been to therapy, but they look at it as like a scam where, why is therapy a thing? If, therapists want to be in business, if, they did their job because then you would leave.
Yep.
mentally healthy you would leave. We're saying, um, go, you are mentally healthy and you still go to, and you continue to develop that and maintain your mental health.
Yeah.
And then even if you are mentally healthy, you're going to have things in your day to day life that still that do stress you out.
Let me tell you a story. So, like, what got me into therapy was, um, and I think I told you this, where I had shortness of breath, and this was during allergy season. Allergy season for me is horrible. It's between like March and May, where all the trees and stuff are budding. It's terrible. It's like probably the worst time of year. But I had shortness of breath as well because a lot was going on in my life, and I went to go get X-rays on my lungs. Well, before I even got X-rays, um, I was somewhere and I literally couldn't take a deep breath because it was like my lungs were paper bags and somebody was just like crunching them up like this, and I couldn't breathe. And I went to go get X-rays, and then the I went to another center to get my X-rays. And they were going to send my results to my doctor, and my doctor, he checked my lungs twice as well as my X-ray. He's like, "Yeah, I don't hear anything in your lung. Your X-rays came back great." Then he asked me, he said, "Are you dealing with any stress right now?" And immediately I had like an epiphany almost. I'm like, you know what? Actually, I am. I
Yeah.
am a little, I am a little stressed out.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting into therapy from there. I actually ended up getting an inhaler as well. But
Hey.
I don't use my inhaler as much anymore. Just because I'm not dealing with that level of stress anymore. I understand how to handle it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sometimes stress can literally um um physically manifest itself
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you continue. And that's why I say not sharing it with somebody is weak, because you're so weak that you're going to allow yourself to get sick, get cancer, get all of these different diseases that are sometimes are truly caused by thought, and you're not talking to somebody about it. Like
Yeah.
that's not being healthy. That's weak to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weak to, not, I think a lot of them let their woman even trample over them and they're not sharing their emotions. They don't know how they feel. But hey,